All are welcome at Reverend Christian Sorensen's weekly Joyous Series podcast here at www.joyouspodcast.com. Also available in iTunes or also on Android. Today's message was recorded January 24th, 2016, and it's titled The Basics, Part 2, subtitled It's Up to You. Come visit us at www.seasidecenter.org or join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving community always await you.
Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home, 'cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here.
Anyway, let's see. So here we are. January, we're going back to the basics, or we have been going back to the basics, the basic ideas of these universal spiritual principles. And what was fun is during the holidays, UPS ran, it wasn't really an ad, but it really was an ad, but it was more of a message about a man who found a book that really changed his life. And what's interesting is the book that this man found on this UPS promo was an Ernest Holmes book. So I've asked Marv to run it. It's kind of long. It's like 3 minutes. But check out this book.
This is Mr. Brown. He's the most remarkable man you've probably never heard of. He's changed the lives of millions of people, including mine. So today, we changed his. But before you know the end of the story, let's start from the beginning. When he was a little boy, he loved to read.
I read everything I could get my hands on. Newspapers and magazines from the garbage. We were poor. We didn't have money to buy all these books.
But there was one book in particular that changed his life.
My grandmother one day walked in and she said, "I want you to read this book, Bobby." It was called It's Up to You. I probably read it 10 times, over the years, and it inspired me.
It put him on the path to helping people, from small-town cop to the FBI, and from civil rights leader all the way up to the White House. Mr. Brown has worked with people around the world fighting for what's right. His mission brought him to South Africa, where he discovered that thousands of books were banned during apartheid. It broke his heart.
I was appalled by that. Books and education mean everything, not just for the individual, but for our society. I started Booksmart, and then we started expanding the book project to schools across South Africa. The need is unbelievably great, but the resources are not there to keep it moving.
Hundreds of donated books turned into millions. And while he'd never asked for it, Mr. Brown needs help.
My wish for all these books is that we would be able to get to millions of young people who do not have a chance. We're giving them a chance at life. My God. What on earth? Oh, my God. We can put a couple million more books in here. This is a complete makeover. I could never dream this could happen.
My name is Mpumi Nobiva. I am one of the many children Mr. Brown has helped.
Oh, girl.
I have something very special for you.
Oh, my goodness. Where'd you find this? This is it. This is the book. Dearest Mr. Brown, we wanted to grant your wish to continue sharing the power of books with the children of Africa. On behalf of all of them and all of your friends at UPS, thank you. what's going to count in the end, as my grandmother said, is how much good did you do. If you want to do something with your life, it's all up to you.
Wow, there you go. So there's Ernest's message getting out there in a big way. It's up to you. This hasn't been out since like 1948, and Ernest Holmes' protege, Dr. Bill Hornaday, gave me his book on It's Up to You. And I mean, what a message. We're talking today from the chapters called What It Does. What it does is it shows up in your life at the level of your consciousness. It's up to you whether you want to deliver millions of books to a whole country that otherwise would not have had the opportunity to learn how to read in ways that are positive. But I share with you from this book that's so relevant for today's subject of what it does and the way it works. It says, all that is in the universe is with us. Nothing's against us. Each one of us has access immediately in our own consciousness to that absolute power, to that unconditional presence, that infinite law, which molds and makes things out of itself by itself, directly becoming the thing it makes. The good which we desire passes out of it as though it came from the very hand of God, which it does, but even God cannot give us anything unless we are in a mental condition to receive the gift. The law can do anything for us, but it can only do it through us. That's it. It can do anything. It's infinite. First paragraph from this chapter in the textbook on what it does is that the good is universal, ever available to be incorporated into our life. But how we choose to do it is what constitutes the science of mind and spirit. You know, it's how we choose to incorporate it, which is what this is all about, which is why we continue to work on our thinking, work on our alignment, coming into a greater realization, because trained thought is more powerful than untrained thought. It's always working, but when we can come into alignment as to knowing how it works, and we can become mindful and say, you know what, it's up to me, and I'm going to bring millions of books, 180 tons of books to the children of South Africa, and the universe will conspire to make it happen and bring in the army of UPS to make it possible. It's not like I thought of that plan, but Spirit is infinite and knows how to do something. It's up to you. But what is it that you do? Because I've seen people create absolute misery in their life by making something out of nothing. Or they make nothing out of something. Because it's up to them. Right? And then again, I've seen people create good in their life by making something out of nothing and nothing out of something. You know, it can go either way, but what I've come to realize is we put the spin on it, so we might as well put the spin in our favor. What do you think about that one? You're going to put a spin, put it in your favor. Why would you want to make yourself miserable? You know, why would you deny yourself the greater possibility to enjoy life? You only get one of these lifetimes this go around. You might as well enjoy it. You know, the wonderful line from Mark Twain that you've probably heard many times, but it is, you know, 20 years from now, you're going to be more disappointed in what you didn't do than what you did do. So throw the bow line ashore. You know, sail off from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sail. Explore, dream, discover. See, that's how the divine with the infinite possibility will download, is if you're choosing to dream, if you're choosing to vision, if you're choosing to catch something. Well, I'm just waiting for Spirit to show up, and then I'm going to get going. I'm going to wait for my success. I heard a comedian, I think it was Jonathan Winter or something, said, I got tired of waiting for my success to show up. I took off without it, you know. Stop waiting, get going. It's up to you to say yes to that Spirit in your life, because what it does is it shows up in our life at the level of our consciousness and begins to unfold in a sequential kind of manner. And the way it works is there's a law that responds to the level of consciousness, the totality of your consciousness, not just one thought, but the sum total of your thinking is what Ernest says. So, you know, get it going. There's a family, they're living in a poorer part of town. And it was rough. It was difficult to find jobs to make ends meet. And they were a pretty happy family. They loved each other. They were tight, but as it was tougher to make ends meet, it got heavy in the house, and the heaviness kind of outpictured where they stopped taking care of the house, if you would, and they stopped washing windows, and in the garden out in the front of the house, little patch, they stopped working, and the walls started paint peeling, and it just wasn't fresh like it could be. And one day, the oldest son, he was in town and just kind of nonchalantly walking through the town, and they were having the open market there that day, and he was caught up in the excitement of people buying, the fruits and the vegetables and the pastries and the line of people at the fish and the smell of the flowers. But what intrigued him most was this one stall, tucked away in the back under the awnings that he had never noticed there. And they sold secondhand stuff. I might call it junk. Callie would call one person's junk is another person's treasure. So, it's all how you choose to look at things. But something caught his eye in the back part of this one shop, and it was a vase. It was a beautiful vase, and he kind of checked his pocket, and he realized that, the change in his pocket could buy this vase, and he went up to the gentleman and gave him the contents of his pocket, and the guy who headed up that booth took that vase and he wrapped it up in the brown paper very carefully, and as he handed it to this young man, he said, "Now you take care and you enjoy this beautiful vase. It's a magic vase." And so he brought it home, and he gave it to his mom, because that's what he wanted to do with this vase. "Mom, I've got this." And she opened it, and was like, "Wow, isn't that beautiful?" And there was no reproach from her spending the money, realizing it might be a little tight the next couple days. Dad actually wasn't upset either. If anything, he was kind of inspired. He went down to the basement, because the vase looked so nice sitting in their living room, that he got out some paint and a paintbrush, and he painted up the living room. And the living room looked so good that when their second son came out and he looked out the windows and they were dirty, he got a bucket of water and he cleaned those windows for the first time in years. And it let the sunlight in, and it was beautiful. And the third son, when he came in, he looked out the window and saw that little garden that just weeds and got buried over, that he went out and got a shovel and he turned over all the weeds and dug it all up. And the next son came and said, "That looks good. I'm going to put some seeds," and put the flower seeds out there and watered it through the spring. And when they were growing, the daughter was out there playing, and she got excited, and she got a big bundle of flowers and brought them in, gave them to her mom, and said, "Mommy, I love you so much." And the tears filled up Mom's eyes as she placed them in her magic vase. You see, life unfolds in a kind of sequential progression that seems natural and normal. But you can go either way, right? You can go up or you can go down. But what's important is to recognize it's up to you to cast the vibration and the direction, and to cast the track in which you are going on for the law to fulfill. And so you can get caught up in the fears of this world, or you can just have your own personal oracle, downloading infinite possibilities to you. You ever have a hunch, an inkling, where Spirit speaks, not in words perhaps, but with a vision, a possibility, a sense of excitement? I wish it spoke in a deep voice. "Christian, you need to do this now," But it doesn't work like that, at least not for me. And if it's saying, "Hey, Christian, do you?" tell me, because it's probably my message. But, it's, you got, but this concept of this omnipresence everywhere and touching us, it's been around forever. The Babylonians, Nephomancy, which is cloud gazing, cloud divination. The Druids did the same thing. They would look up in the clouds and they would get their message, and they would take shapes and they would read it, like maybe reading tea leaves or something. The Greeks were oracles aficionados. You had your oracle of Zeus at Dodona. You had the oracle of Apollo at Delphi, where the high priestess would go into this trance and download what it was. This concept of Spirit speaking is real. The first people of our nation, the Native Americans, they had their dream catchers. They would catch the vision. The hawks or the eagles would speak to them, or the rivers or the brooks would communicate. They would go and they would just honor the sacredness of the Spirit coming through the earth. You got Mother Earth, Father Sky, the two-legged creatures, the four-legged animals, the winged beings, They would speak. The Kahuna philosophy, the Hawaiians, the Polynesians, everything was enchanted. Even the rocks spoke to them. I guess what I'm getting at is Spirit is omnipresent. It is everywhere, and it has that hunch. It has that download. It wants you to catch that vision, and what it does is it shows up in your life, but it's up to you, as Ernest wrote. It's up to you as to what it's going to do in your life, because the way it works is that there's a law that will fulfill it, but you have to get clear as to what it is you want to do with your life and your world and the energy that is moving through you as a divine conduit for humanity. And so when you find yourself in tough situations, it's how you approach that which determines how you're going to come out of that. Got that? I mean, when you're in a tough spot, it's how you're going to approach it determines how you're going to come out of it. Is it a beautiful vase, or is it somebody else's junk? How is it going to be filled with the flowers or just left to collect dust? What it is determined by your consciousness. Oprah Winfrey likes to say, turn your wounds into wisdom. We've got wounds. You can say, I'm a wounded warrior in this life, or you can allow it to be your wisdom. You get to decide how you're going to move on in this world. You can hold on with fear, but you're not going to overcome fear with having enough money in the bank account or in a relationship. The fear is replaced with love. Your fear is replaced with a connectedness with that infinite source. You want to experience joyous abundance in your life, you got to recognize that the omnipresence of God is seeking to express itself in your world, and that you need to just get out of that place. The anxiety in our life is because you're not in the moment. Anxiety and fear comes from the projection into the future that, oh no, this could happen, that doesn't look good. It's emotionally attached to, oh no, the stock market could crash, or my body's not going to hold up, or who's going to take care of my family. And all these projections are what create the fear and the anxiety, or it gets attached to the past and like, oh, this was, this happened, and look at what happened, what could happen. And it's just, we get stuck in that place. What you want to do is just stop, slow down, slow your breathing, become more mindful that right now there's infinite streams of good seeking to express through this point in this moment. I got to get back into this moment. Because I want to tell you something. Your little self, it lies. Your little self lies to you. It says you've been wounded, and you're wounded. You got messed up, and you're going to spend the rest of your life screwed up. So don't risk it anymore. You might be seen. You may not be liked. And so the little self going to keep you in there. Where this vision, this voice, this divination from the divine Spirit communicating, saying, we got something in store for you. Check it out. You got something that's stopping you. How you approach that is how you're going to come out of it. Become your own analyst, your own counselor. All you got to do is check out your thoughts every day. That's it. Well, I don't know if I got time for that, Christian. It's like in your head. People get up and they check out the stock market. They check out their bank account. They check out the food. What's going on here. They check out their weight. Check out the Facebook. Check out the sports stats. Broncos, Patriots, who knows how it's going to go. We check it out. What I am saying, what you want to do is become mindful and spend some time checking out your thoughts and become your own psychoanalyst, if you want to call it that, your own psychologist or your own spiritual counselor, or just become a transparency in your mindfulness and recognize that you can change a direction if it's not working for you. Right? That's all it's saying. If it's not working for you, change it. And then your wiring changes. The neuroscientists that are popular these days, the Dispenzas and the Liptons, they talk about you got your synapses that are firing from one neuron to another neuron, and how you respond and how you behave gets just replicated over and over and over until it's changed. And it gets a deeper groove, you get more engaged. And so when a moment comes up and you experience a moment, You would be surprised if you became mindful, checking out your thoughts, how each moment's experience, there is this automatic, habitual response without much thought put to it that only deepens the groove between those neurons that says, this is how I'm going to respond next time. And so what we're saying, if it's up to you, then take charge of your own mind and your thinking and step forth in a way that empowers you as opposed to belittles you. It's there for you to step free. Jeremy and Zach, they were some best friends growing up, and they went into a business deal together as they got older, and things didn't go right. And Jeremy felt that Zach betrayed him and just didn't do good things. They lived near each other, so they kept running into each other. They tried to talk it out, but every time Zach saw Jeremy, it used to be, hey, there's Jeremy, and there's my buddy, good memories, good feelings, happiness, and all that kind of stuff. Now every time he saw Zach, it's like anger, resentment, just displeasure, betrayal, the memories all came up. And so for like the millionth time, he would play that groove in his mind, and the synapses with fire, and this became real. And what changed in their chance encounters is they ran into each other like they always did. One time was happy and one time was bad. What changed was not the experience of running into each other, but the mental capacity behind that. And so as he worked with Zach, he decided, it's got to end. And so when he worked with Jeremy, when he ran into Zach again, he felt it come up. But what we worked with now is, okay, you breathe into it. Remember I said you got to slow down and breathe, become mindful. Yes, there's hurt here. Yes, there was betrayal here. Yes, there's anger. And breathe. And I've done everything to protect myself. It can't go on any more. What do I want? I want to get friendship again. I want to be able to forgive. And each time he did that, each time the encounter, he began to create a new groove. It's up to you, not your mind, not your subjective, not life that is out there. It is up to you as to, my peach tree right now has peach blossoms in January. It's supposed to be the middle of winter. But, as I was looking at my peach tree, I remember this analogy I shared with you, like in the summertime or springtime or whenever those peaches there, and they're all over the ground. I have a choice. Am I going to pick up a sweet one that's filled with the nectar of the gods? Or am I going to pick up a green, rotten one that's going to make my stomach sick? Hello is right. Come on, now, what would you pick up? The good one, right? Why in the world would I choose the thought to make me sick, to make me miserable, to make me impoverished, when I can live in a joyously abundant life by choosing the right thoughts or the right fruit or the nectar of the gods that is seeking to be experienced, because that is why it was put into this world, for you to experience your good. But it comes down to identification. What am I going to identify with? Oh, man, my life is messed up. Or my life is good. You get to decide which one you get to identify with, because that's what happens. That's what unfolds. And the thing with identification, we sometimes have a hard time letting go of that which I've identified with that for which I have been. The victim, the champion, the success, the failure. For a long time I was just the kid. I was the son. Now I'm a parent. How that happened, I don't know, but it's amazing. All of a sudden, I'm dad. But that's a life progression. But through the course of the week, I'm dad, I'm teacher, I'm minister, I'm taxpayer, I'm healer, I'm husband. That's it. But I got to tell you, if I come home on Sunday flying high because I'm this great preacher guy, she makes me take my crown off. Doesn't want some minister preaching to her at home. She wants a partner, a lover, a cook, somebody who is an equal within the house and loving life and creation. I come home after working all day. My son doesn't want a spiritual guy. He wants dad to play with him. He wants a playmate. He wants somebody to hang out on his iPad, fix his iPad. I tell him, I can't fix your iPad. I don't identify with that one. But, it's like what's important is that we're able to totally identify with where we are at and be that fully. And then when it's time for us to move on and be dad instead of spiritual teacher. When it's time to move on and be at work in that expression, and then to be able to be in partnership. It's not like I'm schizophrenic. It's like there's many different aspects of who this expression is in this world, and can I identify and let go so I can be available? Heads are going, yeah. Now, how about if you're identifying with your pain, or how you've been hurt, or how you've been wronged, or how you've been betrayed? People will tend to draw that identity into all these different roles in which they're playing, and it's like it crosses over and everything's messed up. Or you can choose to be in alignment with Spirit and experience that presence and feel, you know what, this is my new expression, my higher expression. I can remember being with Ram Dass in a friend's condo over in Maui and a few years after he had his stroke. And and Ram Dass was this eloquent, humorous, witty storyteller extraordinaire, and pretty much lost the command of his speech, and didn't speak well. And asked, was it hard? And he said, what's hard is people still want Ram Dass. What's hard is people will still identify with what was. You're the one who has to say, you know what? There's something else here. There's spirit that is seeking to express itself in this new kind of way. Because what will happen is we hold on to something, and may have served us at one time, but if you don't let go of it, it's going to start to unravel, if you would. I read this interesting article in this magazine this week about someone who just had a sense of consciousness. And this man, he was wanted by the police in Ohio. And he wasn't happy with his mugshot on his arrest warrant. So he sent the cops a more flattering selfie. So after the police posted a photo of Don Fugue flashing a cheesy smile, the 45-year-old texted the officers a new shot of himself in a suit and shades. Here's a better photo. That one you have is terrible, said the fugitive, who is a person of interest in several crimes. Well, after the new photo went public, someone spotted Fugue, called the police, who then were able to go out and arrest him, and they posted his new mugshot and said, how's this photo, Mr. Don Fugue? We get stuck, and we will, unless you're able to be mindful and recognize it's up to me and I need to step free of that old pattern of being. A lot of people think, I got to work out my karma. I want you to recognize that you can take that quantum leap to that new level, to that new meme, to that new level of expression that leaves behind the attractive agents of the old identity that is no longer serving you. Because spirit is multidimensional. It shows up in all the places for you. I mean, that's what it does. That's what we're talking about. That's what it does, and the way it works is through a law that says, okay, you're going to keep putting your photo out there and you're playing the crime scene. Here you go. Here's the results of that. You're going to believe that you can help eradicate illiteracy in a whole country. Here you go. You're going to think it's possible to go up? Yes, you do. You think it's going to be possible that you're going to be wounded the rest of your life? Yes, here you go. There is no large or small with spirit. It fills the mold that we have created. That is what it does. This is the way it works. Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said that unity passes into variety. And Ernest Holmes talks about unity passing into multiplicity. We've got the infinite possibility that will take shape and form by the level of our consciousness, which Ernest said constitutes the teachings of the science of mind and spirit. First paragraph this morning I was reading to you from, or to quoting for you. And you do that with your thought. You catch that vision, that inkling, whether you see it in the clouds, whether some oracle is speaking to you, whether some eagle delivered it, or you were just sitting in your meditation going, aha, I get it. Then it's up to you to speak that into expression. Ernest Holmes, he writes about how to do that. I'll probably spend more on that next week, about how to do it when I talk about prayer, but I just want to touch on it because it comes from this chapter on what it does, where he says that treatment is an active thing. Treatment's like our form of prayer. When the one gives a treatment, he is not sitting around hoping that something may happen. He is definitely, constructively, actively stating, sensing, and knowing some specific good. A treatment is a statement in the law, embodying the concrete idea of a desire and accompanied by an unqualified faith that the law works for us as we work with it. And let us waste no further time looking for the secret of success. Okay? That's what it does. It works with us. The law works with us at the level of our belief, and the trained thought is getting ourselves into that place of faith and alignment with the spiritual truth of a situation. Doesn't matter what you call it. There is a divine presence, the first cause. Emmanuel was called in Hebrew, Christianity called the Christ. It's not a person, but it's a consciousness. The Chinese talked about the Tao. The Buddhists talked about the Buddha consciousness. There is a divine essence. It doesn't matter what you call it. What is essential, what is imperative, is that you're able to step into that place and become conscious of it. That is the key here. It's not words. It's being conscious. It is the feeling. It is the experience of it that you are then able to let go of what you're identifying in terms of how it needs to show up and be available to how it can show up. There's a story of a stream that started up in the top of the mountain, and as this stream came down the mountains, it would, if it came to its difficulties or boulders, it would go around it. The analogy, it can go under it and maybe go over it, but it came down that mountain and nothing could stop it until it came to the edge of a vast desert. And it would throw itself out into the desert and gone. And I was just frustrated and looked at that. And at the desert, on the stream, I've been able to travel and would talk to the desert. The winds travel across the desert, and I'm stuck right here. I've been able to go under secret passages and rivers, and I'm stuck right here. And the desert says, well, you have to let go of how you've been doing it. But how I've been doing it's worked thus far. I've been able to go around and over and through, and there's a power that pushes me through. And the desert says, but you have to be willing to let go. And the stream says, I don't think I can let go of being this. I don't want to lose who I am and how I have done it. And the desert says, but if you want to cross this desert, you've got to let the winds carry you in its ever-loving arms. I said, are you kidding me? It'll evaporate, disappear. But there was something inside of it that remembered the winds, that remembered the currents. There was a remembrance at a level that was, I don't know if water has cellular, but it's deep, and it couldn't figure out any other way and said, I don't want to lose myself. Well, you throw yourself in the desert, you're going to lose yourself. And so with that, it surrendered to the wind. It got evaporated, and it was carried across the desert and dropped on another mountaintop. And it maintained its essence. It maintained its heart. It maintained what it was, and it was different when it came down. I share that because we're talking identity here. I identify with how I have done it thus far. Well, you know what? It's got you to this point, and it's good. The raft got you across the river, but you need to let the raft go if you want to keep moving. You've got to be willing to surrender and to trust that Spirit. If you've done your treatment, your prayers, you have proclaimed, you have got the faith, then what is showing up for you is the answer to that. What it does is it shows up in your life at the level of your belief, and the way it works is through a law that will carry you to the other side. And it is the consciousness in which you face a difficulty that will allow you to come out on the other side of that. And as you do, you'll come to realize it wasn't so much my technique, and that's what we teach. I like techniques, but it's not the spiritual healer. It's not the techniques of using the power to overcome the error or the treatment to overcome the disease, but rather it is a matter of becoming conscious of all that is, which is spirit, and there is no otherness that can show up in a variety of different ways. The unity comes forth through the multiplicity of expression, which is all spirit, whether it's a rock, whether it's an eagle, whether it's a cloud, or whether it's a high priestess sitting over an oracle. Spirit is speaking to those that have ears to hear, and I challenge you this week to take the time to hear the Spirit and catch the call that is stirring in your soul, because it is yours to do, not mine. It is up to you. God bless you as you do that.
You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all yes, all are welcome here.
All Are Welcome Here, from the album Path of Light, was co-written by Peggy Lebo and Reverend Christian Sorensen. It's available at www.peggylebo.com.